sun may set at night, tomorrow looks so bright. 'Cause home is when you're by my side. No matter what we do, together we'll see it through. And I hope that we won't drift apart, even though things change. Without you, it's not the same. I know it's true. Life's better when it's me and you.
Hello, lore heads, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
Today, we're talking about Song of Nunu, the video game,
Yes.
not not just a champion. It was released November 1st, 2023. But I still wanted that little add-on there.
I like it.
Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And we
And
are going
was
to
a
be
rework.
focusing. Okay. It's a rework.
Fuck you.
We're going to be focusing specifically on the lore today.
Yes.
We have a gameplay breakdown on our Patreon. So if you're curious about
What we thought
What
of it.
we
Well, I'm
thought
sure
of the
we'll talk
game
about what
itself.
we thought of it, but
No, we're
No,
not.
no.
That is a
okay. That's
Patreon
for patrons
exclusive.
only.
Censor it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's never going to come out while we're talking about this at any point. Yeah, so we want to talk about the story itself, kind of what happens. There are some lore developments here. Like, they're, so people got to move forward a little bit. Whoa! We don't get to see that very often. And the champions that are in it, there's only a handful, but, it's important for the people who are there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
for
so
sure.
full spoilers though. So if you want to play Song of Nunu first, then definitely do that. But if you really don't want to play Song of Nunu and you want to know what's going on, welcome.
Or if you want to
Yeah.
watch Song of Nunu first and then listen to this, my entire playthrough is on our YouTube.
Yes.
So,
That's true.
John streamed it all.
Yeah.
It's not super long, so
Yeah, so you can sit down and burn through it pretty quick.
Hell yeah. And I apologize in advance. The strength of this drink does not match the length or content of this episode. It just happened that way.
you mean like the size of the drink,
No, the strength.
the strength. Okay. Oh,
John is
this is
drinking Everclear right now.
he was doing the cider cognac, I think. Yeah.
Yep. I did whatever was left
okay.
in the bottle.
Oh, that was a choice.
It was...
Yeah. It was.
Great.
John also played this like
was
when
gonna say-
it came out, and he kind of had to wait for Mark and I to play it as
Yeah,
well.
okay.
So I think he's a little shaky on what happened.
Absolutely. If you watch the replay on YouTube, I think it's from like 2 months ago.
Okay, well, we're doing
Well,
our
I'm
best.
sorry, man. I
Yeah,
just
Jesus Christ.
No
had
big
to really I had to grind out my fucking gold. It's a reward. I'm sorry,
honestly,
man.
that is what you were doing instead of playing Song of Nunu. I don't even have an excuse. I wasn't playing anything else. I just...
It's fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It'll come flooding back. It will all come flooding back.
All right.
Don't even worry about it.
So, should we just go through it beat by beat a little
let's
bit?
fucking do
Okay,
it.
so
Yeah, I
starting from the
figured we
beginning,
would.
it does do a cold open where Nunu's waiting through the snow, and then he finds Willump there, and then Lysandra pops up, and he goes, "The ice witch!" And then we cut to 3 days earlier.
I had forgotten it was 3 days earlier. It's all in that short span. It makes sense.
Yeah,
the
it's not
game.
a ton of time. So
Yeah.
Nunu's traveling with Willump in the very beginning, and early on he has a dream that his mother tells him he has to find the Winged Mountain, and he doesn't know what that is.
To find the heart of the blue.
The heart of the blue. He has to find the heart of the blue in the Winged Mountain. Thankfully, it's right around the corner.
There's a big old mountain with massive wings.
Yeah, it looks very cool.
Right where he apparently lives.
Yeah, just I don't know where they were, like what they were up to. I feel like they don't stay in one spot.
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
They travel. They follow the song of Anivia.
Yeah,
Or some shit.
Willump's very elusive about all of this. He doesn't want to go to the Winged Mountain or talk about it, etc. Yeah,
He doesn't want to talk about a lot of things. He
he
grunts a
doesn't.
lot.
Well,
That's
he's
true,
talking to
yeah.
Nunu, I guess. We just don't know what the fuck
Yeah.
he's saying there.
Did y'all play with subtitles on? I actually was curious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I was curious to play it without subtitles, because with subtitles, they will give him a lot of, like, extra context. Like he'll
That's
he'll give him
true.
like the emotion that he's kind of saying, like
Disgruntled
you know,
grunt.
Doubt.
disgruntled, doubt, dismissive, or avoidant, or some shit like that.
That's true. Yeah, some of them are a stretch that I feel like I wouldn't have known he was being avoided if they didn't say it. You know,
you can pick it up more
could
from
get
like
some of
Nunu's
it.
responses, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Stop avoiding
Yeah,
me.
why aren't you talking to me? I thought we were besties.
you're being reticent, Nunu or Willump, whoever.
That's what Nunu says.
Yeah, that's what Nunu, the 8-year-old boy, says all the time.
He's very eloquent. He's very erudite.
Another of his favorite words.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're looking for the Heart of the Blue. They're trying to get to the Winged Mountain. Like that's the first kind of little chunk, right? Is trying just to get to the Winged Mountain, right? And it's something they kind of
Yeah.
introduced pretty early on that I think we haven't seen in lore before. Is this concept of dark ice? So they have true ice in a lot of places, and I think they established pretty early on, even during here, that the new kind of like lore going forward for true ice is that it's something that only Yetis can make, right? They kind of established that
Yeah.
pretty early, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a change, right? It's a change from some various different kind of explanations we've seen.
Yeah. And it's a
Yeah.
big deal considering Willump is the last Yeti. That puts a lot on him now that he's the only one that can make true ice. And it seems that dark ice is corrupted true ice, is what it
Yeah, like void touched is kind of
Void
the,
touched true ice. Oh, I like that idea a lot, honestly. I think that's
yeah.
cool.
They kind of make their way slowly but surely through these sets of like various puzzles and gameplay experiences, and they're getting closer to the Winged Mountain, and they kind of rest for the day, and it's the first of like I think 3 dream sequences, maybe
Yeah.
4 that kind of happen where Nunu is. So the way it's kind of set up is that Nunu was talking with Leica, his mom, and she's kind of explaining some of these things that he remembers her talking about, but kind of in the background looming is a strange silhouette with a very, very clear profile around her head. It's Lysandra. Yeah. But she's very obviously interested in the Heart of the Blue, and there'll be kind of these, like, in between us following Nunu and Willump, it will kind of cut to her sort of like monologuing like what she's up to right now to her.
Yeah. She's such a Disney
To her
villain in
soldiers,
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
But to the audience, really, especially because no one who knows anything about legal lore doesn't know what her deal is. So she has to kind of be like, "Ah, yes, I did indeed seal the void and sacrifice my sisters. And
Yeah.
yes, I want this boy."
Yeah, we did. There's a point at the end where Lysandra, like, we do hear the whole story of the 3 sisters and all of that. And I'm like, this isn't for us.
What is this, an Ash VO?
Got him. Yeah, so she's kind of super interested in the Heart of the Blue, and what kind of happens also is that whenever she does this, Nunu will also kind of sleepwalk, right? So he'll kind of often wake up in the middle of like, oh no, I'm in a combat sequence now. Where's Willump? But as they get closer and closer to the Winged Mountain, eventually they kind of hit this impassable blizzard, and when they do, Braum also sort of shows up, and that's our first cameo from someone else, right? Is Braum coming to save the day because Nunu got separated. And they're trying to figure out how they're gonna get past this blizzard. It's impassable, right? And they kind of determine that well, Braum kind of gives the advice of like, well, we need a soup pot, we need stew, so that we can sit down and eat and think about this. And if you want soup pots, there's only one place to go. It's in the front yard. Now, to be fair, they do end up. So sort of by happenstance, Nunu and Willump find, if you remember way back from Orin lore, one of the tools that he had was a spade forged from star metal that he hurled like as far as he could to the east or west or some direction, right? Nunu and Willump just find it. It's just there. Don't worry about it. But when you touch it, it's like a port key. It just takes you to Orin's forge.
Yeah.
Takes you to Hearthome.
Which is
and there's
just the
Orin.
worst thing for a creature who doesn't want visitors.
Right?
Yeah,
really needs to
he
take
does
care of
grunt
that.
about that when they say that they found the spade or shovel. Nunu and Willump argue about what it is, and Orin's like, I knew I had to take care of that.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to leave my cave.
I know. Orin's great. You really get the size of him in this game.
Yeah. I mean, because you're walking around in his forge, right? And it's all
Yeah.
scaled up to his size.
It's so good.
Yeah.
There's items everywhere from the
true.
game.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part.
It's a lot of it is a lot of fun just to be kind of in there and the spectacle of it. And Nunu's asking for a soup pot. Orin kind of makes him do it himself, but he does make it. And I guess something that does kind of come up also is that when Ornn is interacting with Nunu, he's sort of like talking in this sort of like, how would you describe it? Where he's sort of like talking sort of past Nunu about like, oh, you've got this spark in you that like this sort of thing in you that is like this power that you don't really recognize. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Wish I had an example in front of me.
It's telling him he's special.
Yeah.
Spark is the word that I think that
Spark,
he uses.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Little spark. He
Yes.
definitely like recognizes the influence in his sister, in him.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess, you know, I mean, we'll talk about it kind of once we've kind of gone through the beat for beat thing. But they get the cool soup. So as a part of doing that, right, they have to go do a couple tasks. One of which is to go get berry, the jewel berry.
Yeah.
And it's from this like old ice fortress. I think it's like an abandoned like Frostguard citadel kind of, right? Something like that.
I think it was, because I feel like it grew around like a Lysandra carving or something like that.
Yeah, there's the statues of all three sisters, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. It was all three of the sisters.
Yeah. You find the berry there. I was trying to remember, like, it kind of goes over the story that we already know from what I remember of that little section. The other place you go is a place I thought was actually really interesting. It's called, like, they call it, like, the Ice Garden. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you have to go get something from something called a Kellerell, and we don't know what that is. And Ornn is just like, oh, you'll know it when you see it. And you go there, and it's kind of interesting because it's got a bunch of these like ice. They're like sculptures or like a topiary almost, except they've not been crafted by anyone. They say it's the ice not wanting to be ice. It wants to be something else. So it's taking the form of all these animals and living things, which is very interesting. Yeah. And then you eventually get to the heart of it all, and there's just this big sort of moving ice thing. It's hard to kind of describe. It looks like it's sort of like branches almost, and it's kind of trapped. And they free it, and then what you have freed is this giant sort of ice stag. And when I say giant, it's like, I don't know, it's massive. It's
like Ornn sized, like huge.
Maybe even bigger. Yeah, it's huge. It's and that's the Kellerell, and I think that thing is probably one of the coolest things in this whole game. Honestly, I would love to see it show up in somewhere.
Yeah, me too.
Gives them a tier, right? Was the thing that it gives them, and they take it back to Ornn. They get their soup pot. They bring it back to Braum.
It's a great soup pot, by the way.
It's really good.
It's really funny that they get it, and Nunu's like, "What does it do?" And Ornn's like, "It's a soup pot. It holds soup."
I'd eat out of it.
So confused. Oh man, they should sell those. This is a cast iron Ornn pot. Oh,
Ornn pot.
God, it'd be like $800.
Yeah, it's true.
That's okay. Anyway, they go back to Braum. They
go back to Braum. They eat soup. And then they wake up in the morning, and I think at this point Nunu has another dream, and this is where
he does. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where like what's starting to happen is that as Nunu is having these dreams where he's talking with his mother, Lysandra will start kind of influencing the dreams and sort of start speaking through his mother, kind of you know, like interrogate him about certain things or guide him to certain lines of kind of discussion around the Heart of the Blue, because she sees it as a weapon, right? And you know, if you know Lysandra, like her motivation entirely is, you know, she wants to stop the void. The Heart of the Blue could probably do that, whatever it is, and it has some relation to the Yeti. That's sort of the other thing, is that there's some sort of power with the Yeti that she's interested in, right?
Yeah. She also, you know, at this point, I think you realize that she wants Willump to help her, you know, keep the void entrapped. It's seeming bad. It's seeming like she's getting a little desperate on keeping the Watchers here.
Yeah, you definitely get that desperation as the dreams go on. She takes like a much more direct,
like a pushy turn. Yeah,
like
it is funny
talking to his mom, and she's asking all these questions. He's like, "Mom, you told me all this stuff. Like, why are you asking me?"
It's also just like this idea that he knows what it is. Like, he clearly doesn't know what this Heart of the Blue is.
Like the very first conversation, he's like complaining. He's like, "Oh, Mom, you always speak in riddles. You never tell me anything actual." It's like, Lysandra, you did see that. But
I know.
maybe it's like a hypnosis
she has
thing.
bad information retention. You could probably tell her what the Heart of the Blue was. She'd forget.
This Heart of the Blue, yeah. So they wake up, and is it like the blizzard is just kind of clear, right? Is it just kind of gone? Is that how it ends up? And as they're trying to make their way, yeah, the soup pot did it. And as they sort of are making their way into the Winged Mountain, a bunch of the things you've been kind of fighting in the game, ice wolves, have all been kind of corrupted by that dark ice. They kind of say, and they get kind of attacked by a group of them, and a weird purple claw sort of knocks Braum off of this sort of, they're on this like bridge type situation, right? And he seemingly falls down into the abyss below. We don't know what happened to Braum. Oh no.
He's dead now.
He's dead. He's fucking dead.
It was very Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. So he was upset.
Except like, you know, if you're watching Fellowship for the first time, you might very genuinely think Gandalf's dead. With this, I don't know, maybe if you're someone who didn't know anything about League of Legends, you might think Braum was dead.
That's true, yeah.
But we know League. We know that guy's never
know
going. We know Braum, right? But they do get to the Winged Mountain, right? And this is where I'm trying to remember the exact order of sequences. I think they eventually find, is that where I know they eventually find Volibear, and he leads them to where they're trying to get to.
Yeah.
Is that just like directly what happens immediately kind of after? Is that they end up finding Volibear's one of his dens? Is that right?
I think that's what happens next, and they find a frozen whatever. What are they called? His followers?
Oh, Ursine.
Ursine.
They do find some
Yeah, they find the frozen
Ursine.
Ursine, which is huge. I'm pretty sure that's the
we?
next part. Yeah.
Because a lot of the environment they've been kind of going through on the journey to the Winged Mountain is like, it's like the site of a battle, right? That has been sort of frozen. Like it was a battle almost at sea or on a coast where all the water's been frozen. So you've got these ships that are like caught up in a frozen wave, and you know you're trying to like navigate through these ships that are like upside down or kind of up on like listed to their side and stuck in ice. And yeah, they run into Ursine, and eventually they do find, I guess, one of many, they kind of establish that in the little journal that they have, like one of many dens that Volibear just kind of hangs out at around the Froward. They wake him up and he starts trying to fucking squish him. But then they give him like a slap on the face with like some rocks. And he's like, oh, all right, this is kind of, y'all are cool. I'll give you the thumbs up. You're fine.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. And he also, much like Ornn, talks in these weird sort of like cryptic, one of these days you'll have to come to the power that's inside you, little one, to Nunu, right? It's another one of those.
Am I right?
I couldn't not think, as I'm staring at Volibear, of the horrific summoning methods people have for him. I'm like, you seem like a vaguely dark but kind of somewhat jolly bear. And yet people are waving decapitated heads around in the summonings for you.
They never tried just going into a cave and waking them up from a nap.
Just blow
Way
a horn.
easier.
Blowing a horn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was no problem. I summoned Volibear in 4 seconds by accident. I actually meant to walk somewhere else, but I accidentally triggered the cutscene.
Did you miss a Poro because of it?
Probably.
Probably. Yeah.
No, they were both in Ramshara, I think.
Yeah. Which is, hey, exactly where we're going next, right? So Volibear is like, okay, y'all guys are cool. Not only am I not going to fucking squish you, in fact, I'm going to take you exactly where you're trying to get to, which is Ramshara, which is the Yeti city. It's or was the Yeti city, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it is worth saying, he did specify, what was it, if he didn't embrace his destiny or some shit like that?
Oh, he'd kill them both.
Then he would go ahead and kill them both.
That's true. So he put like a hold on it. It's like an IOU. Yeah. Right. So they get to Ramshara. It's the sort of like, I like that. That was good.
I didn't hear what you said.
You said
pain check.
Oh.
Gave him a pain check.
I like that.
Anywho. Ramshara,
which is a lovely little place. It's the old Yeti city, right? And this is where we start getting a lot of the drops about the cool lore drops about like the actual Yeti sort of background. And what kind of comes out as Nunu and Willump explore this is that the Yetis have been able to make true ice because Anivia gifted it to them. She saw 2 Yetis fighting, and the stronger Yeti, instead of squishing the other Yeti, showed empathy. And Anivia was like, you know what? That's pretty fucking sweet. You now have the power to make true ice. Congratulations.
She was really giving away gifts willy-nilly in the Old Testament, huh? She was really
not just
different
that.
Olivia.
They said you now have what was it? 4 arms, horns, and the ability to create true ice. It's like, all right,
lot more.
Cool, true ice. I don't know about these other gifts. I don't know what to do with them.
4 arms? My 2 were fine. Although now that I have a toddler, I could really use 4 arms, I think.
Sure, yeah.
You'd think it would make him better at snowball fights, but he keeps getting his ass kicked by this kid.
Well, he's the chosen one. Anyone, right?
That's true.
And I think here's also kind of where they also have some big drops around like what happened to the Yetis, right? That all happens in Ramshara, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of know that Lysandra had sealed away the Watchers, and what we kind of discover is that her and her sisters had convinced the Yetis to come help them stop the Void. And then during the big battle, and I think this is a bit of a change too. Lysandra kind of betrayed everyone and sort of like Golden Compass, like severed the link with like Anivia or like the True Eyes power for the Yetis. And when that happens, so she used that to seal away the Void, sacrificed everybody. But when that happens, what happens to the Yetis is that like their soul and their body, this is very like Kingdom Hearts almost, like they become heartless, right?
Yeah.
Like their soul kind of splits off and becomes these like, what they call them, echoes? Is that what the word is for them? Yeti echoes or something? They're like these angry Yeti spirits, and then the Yeti bodies themselves kind of devolve back into their sort of like,
More
I
primal
don't know,
forms.
Neanderthal, angry, like violent Yetis, right? And something else that comes out is that Willem, being the last Yeti, was actually alive for all this, was a party to all this, and that's a big reason why he has not wanted to go back to all this. The other big reason is because when they finally do get to where the heart of the blue should be, is not there.
Oh.
And more so, Willem also seems to knew that it wasn't going to be there,
Right.
and that he's very like, he doesn't want to say what's going on, just that someone left with it, and that it is where it needs to be. Even though Nunu is really trying to press him for, like, if we don't find this, I can't find my mom. Right? Are you not going to tell me? You're not going to help me? But Willem still kind of holds strong. So they get kind of like separated. Is that right? Or like Willem gets kind of hypnotized by some of those Yeti echoes, right? They sort of lead
they
him
all,
away.
Yeah.
And Nunu
They all
does go to
circle
save
him, and then he's sad, Willem.
Yeah, he's sort of like entranced by them. I don't know. So it's like, I don't know if he's like I said, hypnotized, or if he's just like trying to help them in some way. But I think at that point, like, Lysandra sort of shows up and sort of confronts Nunu and kind of is like, here's the skinny on what happened. Here's what I did, and I need you to give me Willem. Like, she wants him to kind of like give up Willem essentially, so she can take him
I gave
and
up
go do
everything. I'm just asking for this one tiny thing. One itty bitty whittle Yeti.
That's exactly
Just a
what she
little
said.
Yeti.
Verbatim. I can't believe you remember that. You've played
Yeah.
it in so
You know.
long.
He really stuck
Like
out.
a lockbox, this is.
No, it is not.
I mean, like an unlocked open lockbox, right? Like,
Ew.
which it's weird that she asked, because I think she then just takes Willem by force kind of anyway, right? Like, she absconds with him.
Yeah, Nunu definitely does not agree to the deal, but she takes Willem anyway.
Yeah, she never needed to ask. It was just
It's a courtesy.
it was a little courtesy ask.
Yeah, she's nice like that. And and Nunu's like, I don't know, he's on the verge of like dying, between like getting beat up and left alone in the snow. And as he's kind of like fading out, his mom kind of reaches out to him and is like, Nunu, here's what's going on. You've got the heart of the blue. It's inside you. It's been in you the whole time. Right?
Whoa.
And it's in Nivea's heart, I think, right?
It's,
Isn't
yeah,
it the
they,
heart of the-
yeah,
it's
like
part of
Nivea's
her
heart. Yeah. Maybe it's like the little bead of light that comes down when she gets her egg form and she has to revive.
Oh, so now she can't revive. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Maybe. I don't know. I was curious if they play with that at all.
Yeah, because Nivea's not in this game.
No.
You don't
No,
see her,
she's
so-
referenced a lot, but she's
Yeah. She's a huge part of it, but she's not in it.
and using that, Nunu sort of calls Braum to come, like, just anyone to come help. And I guess, spoiler alert, Braum shows up. Braum's not dead. You think
He's
Braum's gonna get
alive!
fucking killed? He's fucking fine. And so they resolve to go. They're gonna go save Willem. Nunu infiltrates the Frostguard Citadel while Braum creates a big old
Distracts the
distraction.
guards, yeah.
Nunu frees Willem, but then they have a big old confrontation with Lysandra, and there's a period of time where Willem gets corrupted and smacks Nunu a few times, and it's very sad. But Nunu's able to kind of get him back, and then
It reminded
Lysandra
me
starts...
so much of that fucking Pikachu scene from the Pokemon movie.
Yeah, yeah, because Willump is like hitting himself a ton, like also, right?
Didn't even think of that.
And then they have a big anime battle, right? Where Lysandra's got some giant, she's ulting or some shit, I don't quite remember, and she's got this big energy ball, and Nunu's ulting, and he's Kamehameha.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's...
It was very anime. Just slamming the Y button the whole
You're just
time.
smashing
I had it on my
space.
lap, just...
Oh, this is fucking
Or
crazy.
spacebar.
You've got to buy Song of Nunu 2 to see how the battle ends up. Tune in next time.
Tune in.
The first 45 seconds are still just... No, I mean 3 minutes or the last 3 minutes.
Let's say
like,
what,
already-
45 seconds, right?
Yeah.
But they overpower Lysandra, and kind of when that happens, like Nunu like touches into is touching into like tapping into his power to kind of win that fight, and when he does it, he like for temporarily heals Lysandra's blindness. Right? There's a
Yeah.
moment of time where her little head thing falls off, and you see her, and she can see, and then I guess it goes back to like the way it was. She got like 30 seconds of sight, which really sucks ass if you think about it. Right? The very temporary blindness fix. And then Braum helps them escape. So Braum helps them escape, and Nunu and Willump go off to, have more adventures and help out the Freljord. And then there's kind of a little afterword with Lysandra, where she's kind of coming to grips with the fact that, I still want to stop the Void. Maybe I'm not the one who can do it. It's going to be that kid. That's the one who's going to stop the Void, but he's not ready. So I need to be here to watch him and test him and make sure he is as ready as possible for when the Void shows up.
I gotta try and beat the shit out of him over and over again.
Yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
what her plan is there. It's interesting. Lysandra's such an interesting character, and I think she gets fleshed out so much in this, because she truly is not a black or white villain here. Like, even though she is killing a lot of people and making sacrifices, it's a pretty classic, fun villain to follow, where, like, she did save everyone,
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah, I like her a lot, really.
Yeah.
I really liked where she kind of ended up. I think when we
Yeah.
did her, did her episode, it was kind of interesting how there were some stories where they really harped more on that, like, she kind of sees herself as a hero and is just very kind of cold and calculating, and other ones where she's just being like an evil ice witch. But where they kind of land with her, especially, like, I like that afterward probably the most, because I like the idea of her, like, not having the ego almost of saying, like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not the savior, but what I can do is make sure that our actual savior is as ready as possible. And I like her being an antagonist to him with the goal of making him, like, stronger, hurting him to help him in ways. I think could be really cool. I don't know.
Which is nice,
Yeah.
too, because, I mean, given that he cured her blindness for a bit, too, like, you could absolutely see, like, a justifiable ending to this where it's like, I need to get that power. That power is what I need.
Yeah.
But it didn't kind of go there, which was unexpected and neat.
Yeah, she almost has like a line before that in that little. I wish I had like the text in front of me of what she says at the end, but there is a bit where she's like, "I really want that power, but I'm not the one who's gonna fix all this."
I'm not that guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, kind of maybe some of the moments of her early monologuing where she has to just establish herself for the audience is like kind of whatever, but the developments for her character I actually really liked a lot. I was really surprised at how much I ended up kind of liking where they left her, and it was neat to see her without her little head thing on. It's easy to forget that that's like a little, like, I don't know, visor that she keeps on her face.
Visor.
I don't know. It's like
It's her
a
hat and her fanny pack.
She's like Ice Geordie.
Yeah, that's what I had in my head. But yeah,
Geordie Lysandra.
I don't know who that is.
I like it.
His name's Geordie LaFleur. He's
LaFleur.
from Star Trek.
LaForge, LaFleur,
Oh, I was so close.
Tisk.
It's been a while.
Tisk, man. It's okay. But yeah, I mean,
Riot Forge.
I like that one. That's pretty good.
It wasn't good. Don't. I knew that one was a stinker before I said it.
But it works off of
Finish
the
your
right
drink.
name, so.
The jokes are gonna get better. Don't worry about it. Once you kill that last bit of the booze.
And yeah, okay, so like, I don't know, what did y'all think of it kind of overall from a story? I guess like for Nunu, right? Because this is, it's his story. It's the song of Nunu, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah, I think for Nunu it's great. I am disappointed that it seems like his mother is dead.
Yeah, that
Does
seems
seem
like that's
that,
Which
for
was
sure.
such a bummer because I liked the idea. They also did change his story a little bit here. I think originally his mom kind of left, didn't she? And she left him with people that she trusted. Was that it?
I think it was still that they got separated when the caravan got attacked.
Oh,
and
okay.
he-
I don't know
it was
why I
more that
thought
like
something
he
else.
had interacted with like I think that's a big thing is that before he had interacted with Lysandra, he had gone to the little foundling village, and she had kind of like he didn't really realize that she was evil, right? He was gonna go prove himself as like a true hero, and then met Willump and etc. And here it seems like he just kind of knows of her as like, oh, it's the Ice Witch,
Yeah.
the monster of legend. So, so I think it's a change there. I do agree that like, yeah, she definitely seems dead from the way she's talking. You don't talk about like, oh, I'll live on through song and shit when you're
in your
actually also
heart,
alive. Yeah,
And I'll also live on through life.
yeah, that too.
Could you imagine? She just appeared. April Fools.
It does make me kind of curious, like where. I think that was like I said, at the end I was having a little trouble remembering like what were Nunu and Willem even off to go do aside from just like general adventuring, because before it was like, okay, we're gonna go find Leica. As it is now, I can't quite remember kind of where he was left off in terms of.
I know. I'm trying to remember what they were talking about at the very end about where they wanted to go next.
Yeah, it's
Disneyland.
yeah, fuck it. I mean, Ramshara was pretty fun. Had a lot of slides, right?
That's
Might as well go
Ramshara
somewhere
was
else.
cool as fuck, man.
Yeah, we had said it in the other episode, but it's really I don't know. It's got a really neat like style, like art direction. Maybe is the word I'm looking for to that area in particular, and the idea that like the Yetis didn't really have. They didn't have public transport because they would just make ice bridges, like true ice bridges. In fact, like I think at one point, like it comes out that that's like they would do it for everything. They would eat the true ice. They would like it was literally everything. That's just all they would do, right? Would just be using the true ice for it. It's kind of interesting.
Good deal.
Yeah,
I guess I would too if I could make it.
Yeah, if it could sustain me, why not?
sure.
I really liked Brahm's representation here. Because in addition to kind of showing up and saving the day and everything, we get to see Lysandra's minions talk about Brahm. And the way that they talk about Brahm is hilarious. There's like a part where you're sieging, essentially the Howling Abyss, kind of. You're sieging Lysandra's strongholds. And Brahm is like, I'm going to create a distraction at the front gate. You sneak in. So he just starts fighting guards. And when you get inside, you hear the guards kind of talking about it, and like one of them has run away. He's like, Brahm's attacking. Like, well, why aren't you out there fighting him? It's like, oh, he grew to like 100 feet and breathed fire on me. Like, it's a very William Wallace-esque escalation of his character.
It's pretty in line with him.
The very
Right,
first thing you'll hear is that I've heard that there must be an entire army at the door. Like they literally an entire army has come, and it's just Brahm, who's just delightful as he's fighting all these bad guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty in line with his character, right? He's just constantly having stories and legends told about him. I think even like Nunu and Willump will have like little dialogue after they've met him and you're kind of doing other things. It'd be like, do you think he really did this and that? And Willump seems like he doesn't like believe a lot of it. And I almost thought there were moments where he seemed a little like jealous of like Nunu's sort of admiration of Brahm, which I thought was kind of a cute little dynamic.
Yeah. I definitely would like to know where Olivia is, because that's something that we never really learned in her lore or anybody else's lore. And with so much focus on Olivia, I was really hoping to see her at some point, especially because you do see Ornn and Volibear. I was like, and they call him Volibear, first of all. I never pronounced it that way in my life. I'm saying a league champion wrong. I'm that person now. Volibear.
Volibear. It feels weird.
I don't like it. But yeah, I was kind of hoping for even an idea of where she's at. Does she need her heart? Is she okay?
You'd think you would. Yeah, it's a good question. I had thought that the heart of the blue before was going to be maybe her egg, right? And that, like something like that. Yeah, I'm open to not seeing her, especially since they've kind of established so much of this weird power. I do remember that from Nunu's like lore, that he had this sort of weird power kind of in him that Willem kind of gave him. I guess we kind of get what that was now finally.
Yeah.
I would really love to see if Riot ever completes the loop on anything ever. I would really love to see like a reconfrontation with the Void and Nunu, some aged up Nunu tapping into that, and a giant Anivia like over the top. Like
that's when you finally see Anivia and where she's.
God, could you imagine you're in the MMO and they're doing some Void event, and then so you're in the Howling Abyss gonna fight the Void, just like the battles of yore. Oh my God, the big Anivia overhead. Oh my God.
And some
Makes me
John
geek
Connor
out,
type
man.
fucking Nunu pops out of nowhere.
Yeah, that too,
Full
right?
beard.
I feel like he would
wanna
not
see-
be grizzled. I think he'd still be sweet and fun.
Yeah, foreseen.
You can be
Nunu.
both.
Yeah. But yeah, and I guess I do like their relationship a lot through it. I did think it was interesting how, like, very early on, I was like, man, Willem, you're kind of being a dick this this game, because he's so reticent to like to talk about anything, which I found kind of interesting. How pretty immediately they sort of established that Nunu or Willem, God, that Willem is like hiding things and keeping things from Nunu, and he seems kind of like he snaps at Nunu at certain points, or like is very bristly, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I do like how they cleared up why Willem was aware that Lysandra could dream hop and didn't want Nunu to know that he'd had the heart of the blue. He was trying to keep it from her. So I liked that explanation. That was fine.
Yeah, it makes sense, and I think there's a lot like I said, I like Ramshara, and I liked a lot of the moments of I don't know, Willem looking sad. I guess,
Like a sad Willem.
I think so. I'd always thought that like kind of the denouement of it all, with him being corrupted and like being like trying to hurt Nunu, is like I always saw that as something that they could very likely do with those two for an event or like a story, and I think it's a good thing to harp on. It makes me think a lot of like like a Monsters Inc. moment, right, where Soleil scares Boo or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. I like a lot of what goes on with those two in general throughout it. Right, it feels pretty authentic. Did y'all hug Willem while you were playing?
You can hug Willem?
You can hug Willem, yeah. If you go up to him and you press whatever the use button is, it was E on the maybe it was space. No, it must have been E. Yeah, I think you have to hold it.
You gotta start a new file, hun.
Why would they tell me I could do that?
I just threw snowballs at him all game.
I did that too. Did you get one in his mouth?
You can get one in his mouth? I did not take advantage of this game at all. I only accidentally destroyed 2 of the snowmen he created, and he gets so upset when you do that. And I was just trying to get closer to it, and then all of a sudden, Nunu kicked it, and I was like, "What the fuck, man? I was just looking at the cool snowman statue we made."
I didn't realize he would kick it. I knew you could smash him with snowballs, but not
if you could just like run it over, which I didn't do. But I was so careful because I think he makes a Braum one after Braum, quote, dies, and I was like, "Don't even go near it."
Observe from a distance.
We're not gonna accidentally destroy that snowman.
You
You
would've been
can
great.
hug him.
You can hug him. Yeah. What would have been great is if you tried to destroy the Braum one and it didn't break. Like if you threw snowballs and they just kind of planked off it or something. That would have
Like
been good.
shield just blocks your foot.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, it's pretty cute. I like that. I liked the bits where Willem will kind of randomly draw things on the wall, the little pictures of them too.
He'll
Those
really
are
go
cute.
off. Like if you're standing around, Willem just is like having a blast by himself.
Yeah, there's
I
a
actually
lot of
thought at the
personality
beginning
in
of the
him.
game. Do you remember when I was first playing it? I thought I was supposed to be following him, and I was just following Willem around as he was dicking around, and I was like, "What's going on in this game?"
Spent kind of a while following him around. Just not
Shut up,
doing
John. Again, I never hugged him.
That's okay.
Poor shit.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's not okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like who else, like other things that kind of crop up in there. Volibear was kind of a little. I think it's just like they're probably softening on some of that really grotesque. At least for this game, it makes sense that he's not a weird, grotesque monster.
Yeah. He only had like 2 arrows in him, though. I feel like there should have been more in there. Remember, he turned around at some point, and I was like, I feel like I could have more arrows in me than this right now.
At least 4.
Right?
5 on a good day.
If Boromir had more, then come on.
I
Maybe
suppose that's
he's
fair.
kind of like, he's kind of like Willump himself, where he just kind of mirrors the energy of the people
Whoever's
around
near
him.
him. So if people just did really lovely summoning rituals, he would be a much nicer bear.
You can do
They
it
have, like,
with
a tea party.
flowers, but no one talks about it, so they keep doing it with corpses and bullshit.
This big asshole comes out.
It's like, thank God, it's so nice to be summoned just by the horn. It's so much better than being than the blood thing. I hate showing
tough.
up with the blood thing.
Because I didn't mind him in this, but comparing it to what we have in the canon lore so far, it sucks. So, like, yeah, I don't know. But this is also canon, so is this what Volibear is now? Volibear? Do I have to start fucking calling him that?
No, I'm just gonna go.
It's also
Volibear.
like in the story we read, I think he was also. I mean, he was very clearly not fully
Full.
formed
Yeah.
in that one.
Still
And
Emotep, he
his
was still-
goal was to be fully formed. So we could just be. This might be the current version of him.
He just
fully
ate a
formed.
bunch of people. Now he's formed and he was taking a nap, and immediately some fucking 8-year-old snot kid just.
Right? He's the one who
Woke him
ate
up.
his mom's caravan.
No. We don't know who attacked the kid. I think it was just random raiders.
It seems like it. I was curious if any of those dreams, because in the dream sequences, right, it's Nunu going through the caravan. Like, he'll do the dream sequence with his mom, and then he will go back kind of through the memory of running through the caravan, and each time it gets more and more, like more detail gets added. And I was kind of expecting that, like, by the third or fourth one, there would be some sort of reveal. Like, it was Lysandra the whole time, or something,
That would have
right?
been really cool.
Something he would remember, or maybe he would remember. I mean, it's a little depressing, but maybe he would remember that, like, his mom had actually been, killed or something, right? And that, like, maybe, I don't know, but it never really coalesces into anything, as I recall. It just, like I said, kind of re-adds more detail. But yeah,
It was neat though. It's good to see where they are now. I know with when we went over like the Mage Seeker lore, we knew where Silas was now, and we knew where his other stories ended, and Mage Seeker was just a story in between those 2 points, which was like interesting to get, but like it just brought us up to where we already were. It didn't move anything forward from where we were. So it's nice to, just get a little progression here.
Yeah.
yeah, it is a little. I mean, it's like little being kind of the operative word. Not a
Yeah.
lot gets moved plot wise. I think the big, like, in my mind, the biggest shift is probably, I guess, Nunu being like full proper aware of this sword power that he's got, and then also
Yeah.
like I said, the Lysandra kind of shifting her
Def-
perspective
yeah.
on things.
Yeah, that changes her goals completely, I feel like. And I guess
Yeah.
Nunu's goals are also completely changed now.
Yeah, so I'd really like to see something that followed. I'd like to see something that followed Nunu, I guess, just to kind of follow up on where he's going to go with this.
Yeah, I would definitely love to see what his plan is next, because we didn't really get that. Is he still aware that the void being sealed away is really important? Because they never really acknowledge, like, oh, maybe we should fucking help her seal up this void,
Yeah, he just kind of rejects the thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to. I almost feel like I want to revisit some of like the ending sequence just to like see if there's anything that I can pick up more from there.
Yeah.
Like, watch John's replay of it.
I probably will, honestly.
Aw.
I was looking through little moments because I was trying to remember like what happened here again. Just little things, which is so it is handy, honestly, for some of that. Plus, it's always fun to see like I did go and find you getting stuck on the piece of terrain again because it was very funny. There's a lot of panic
Yeah.
in that moment.
You'll have to find it for me and show it to
Right?
me.
What's going on? Why can't I move?
It's like, oh, that's not good. That's not good. I think he like jumped or something. I don't know. It's kind of funny. But yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything else that was like really major, like lore development wise. I guess
I
it is a big
know.
kind of a shift around the true, like the origin of True Ice and kind of giving it a more concrete place in the world. I'd be curious how many people are kind of aware of in this new kind of lore that we're kind of working with a little.
Yeah.
How many people are aware of the connection between it and the Yetis? Because it is pretty important to a lot of people. It seems like if people knew that, a Yeti would be you'd have all sorts of people wanting to get that Yeti.
I
Right?
imagine they wouldn't know. Like, I feel like it makes sense to me that they wouldn't know at all, except Lysandra, because she was quite literally there.
It also makes me very curious So all of the true ice weapons that we have in lore right now, presumably not from the Yeti's peace-loving era, and also presumably not from Willump. I'm very curious if when Lysandra conscripted all the Yetis, basically, she also asked them to create just a shit ton of true
that
ice
would make
weapons.
sense to me. I feel
That
like.
would be,
They were
yeah.
basically the Orns of this war.
Ooh, yeah.
I kinda like
Ice
that.
horn.
I mean, I kind of like that. It's neat because I feel like a lot of the true ice weapons too tend to just work with like shards. Like they'll have shard, like even like smaller ones that kind of no names will just have like a little chip of it, kind of at the core of it or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. You get into some like way in the future, and the people, and you got old foreseen Nunu with like wielding some badass, completely full true ice flute. I don't know what he would have. He wouldn't have a weapon.
Nah.
He would have a cool flute, right?
Well, his flute has even
Spellsonger.
more true ice now. Because
That's
it
true.
Broke again.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that thing,
Hey,
man.
you should give him a blowgun. I mean, it's very similar to a flute, and it just
He's
shoots
just
true
he's a
ice darts.
big
He could have like a
Teemo.
little hat, and
More fur. Make some poison in the darts. I think that would be helpful.
yeah, I think it'd be good.
Damn, we should be on the champion design team.
That does make me think. There's a little moment that I thought was kind of interesting because they're going through Ramshara, and there's a lot of these drawings. So, like, Willump is, I guess, a little bit of an artist because you find these collectible murals that Willump had drawn of various events happening. But there's also these drawings in Ramshara kind of showcasing what had happened. But what's interesting is that, like, they really shift in tone and, like, style to one that's a lot more, Nunu describes it as, like, these are, like, scary and kind of crazy almost, which Willump had also drawn, and it's kind of immediately in the wake of all the Yetis being, turned into ghosts or evil caveman Yetis. And I thought that was kind of interesting that there was this period of time where Willump was sort of, I don't know,
This is
It-
emo
Frantically,
period.
painting
Yeah,
what happened.
yeah, and this sort of like pit of despair type thing. I don't know. It's kind of like
Yeah.
it's kind of grim to think about. It's like realizing
we
that your
know-
parent is a person.
A
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I was gonna ask if we knew how Willump survived.
I was gonna
can't
ask that.
remember.
I don't know. I don't know if they ever get into it. It's
Okay.
it would be hard because so much of what everything he says is grunts, right? You could almost just have Nunu be like, "Well, how did you survive?" Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
could
I
see
never
them
would have
doing
thought of that.
Yeah. And also, how did Lysandra sever the connection between the Yetis and the
Magic.
True Ice? Okay.
Yeah, some sort of
She's a
dark
witch.
magics. Yeah, I think the mechanics of that are left pretty vague.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't
yeah.
sure if I just missed something. which
Oh
happens a
yeah, I
lot.
don't think they
No,
went
I
into
think
it,
it's-
which I'm cool with.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure whatever they came up with would. I don't
It's
know.
fine.
We wouldn't be a
Yeah.
fan.
It was
Yeah.
a long time ago. No one. Who knows? No one
Yeah,
remembers.
she's been destroying all the literature around it. No one remembers.
I mean, if you're not going to interact with it anyway, it's like who cares, right? If it had some mechanism for affecting the story in some way, that'd be one thing. But it's like whatever. It did in my mind also recontextualize a little of because I feel like before we've heard stories of Lysandra and the Howling Abyss being like she was still kind of allied with the Watchers and it was a conflict between her and her other two sisters, like her and her Frost Guard versus this coalition of like Yetis and shit. But the
Yeah.
fact that she was everyone, it was kind of everyone together against the Void, and then in the kind of climax of the battle, she kind of betrayed everyone. It kind of reframes a little bit of her wanting to like hide the history of things, right? Like,
Yeah.
almost like there's almost like a little bit of like shame there that kind of at the core of it that she doesn't acknowledge, right? I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think it's definitely there's like a loneliness there. There's some scenes with her in this game where, I think she's sympathizing with Willump at some point, like understanding his loneliness because her sisters are gone. I don't remember exactly when it was or what was written down, but
I think it's when she's.
sad.
It might be when she's moving through Ramshara herself, and she's kind of looking
Maybe,
at the
yeah.
the pictures on the wall, right?
Yeah.
That's what sticks out to me too, is that bit because she's kind of talking to them and kind of lamenting what she did, even though she obviously
Yeah.
thinks it was the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
And I think from a practical perspective in terms of hiding the literature too, like I think she viewed the Void as a weapon that could be kind of exploited, right? To give power. essentially. And she probably knows better than anyone that if word got out about this crazy power, other people would probably want to try and exploit it too. So I think there's a very, in addition to wanting to hide, like, ah, shit, I done goofed it. There's also a practical, like, I don't want anyone to find this shit. Like, someone is gonna come.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for a lot of reasons, which is always nice when something kind of feels like pretty reasonable. A reasonable thing for a character to do is nice, right?
Right. In fact, you know who would come for that shit? Fucking Silas. You know his ass would be up at the Watchers like, ooh, now this is a power that could take down Demacia, and then
I love
big
that.
ol' oopsie.
Ooh, I want to see Void touched Silas, like Void corrupted Silas, like he tried to siphon that magic.
I love that.
That's a good
That's a
scan,
great
right?
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a great part of the MMO, which is definitely going to come out and happen.
Oh, sure,
Great.
yeah. Oh
Okay,
man,
now.
we'll trust. I just fly on wings of hope, right?
Yeah. Well, did anybody have any more thoughts?
The Keller roll is really fucking cool. I really can't emphasize enough how cool it is. I really like big, giant, weird creatures. Like Shadow of the Colossus type feel is kind of what I got from it. I would love to see it kicking around somewhere, somehow. I don't know what you do with it.
Walking around the Howling Abyss or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Imagine playing Howling Abyss and you see this weird
Or it's
ice
in the
stag
background
in
or
the
something.
background.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe it's there. Who fucking knows?
It's true. It is a bunch of ice. It's a little hard to spot out.
No.
But yeah, I guess, like, overall, maybe from a lore story perspective, like, how do y'all feel about it? Like, a good entry? Is this something I know Riot Forge is shuddering, but if Riot puts out other video games with, like, pushing the lore forward, is this, like, something you'd want to see them do? Like, is this a good example to look at? I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'd be good. Yeah, I guess it would depend on, like, the style of it, because I know, like,
That's true.
while Convergence isn't, I guess, not technically canon, or parts of it could be, parts of it couldn't be. It's really up to them to decide. I am not. I'm just kind of not a fan of this style of game. So if they released a game that was pushing the lore forward and was, I don't know, like a fucking Souls-like or another Metroidvania, like, that'd be kind of a bummer because I'd have to play it, but I would be hating the experience. So I mean, there's that. But if it's a style that I like, absolutely, I love that way of driving the story forward.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I think it's a good example. I think it kind of sits well in the compared to some of the, like, I don't know. I didn't really like Mage Seeker's story. Oh, that's its own thing. But I mean, maybe this one's also doing a lot less. That I'll be curious about. I don't know what the hell's going to happen with that thing. I haven't really looked at anything about it that much, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, it's going to be canon. We know that
That's
much.
true.
So,
That's true. Yeah.
I'm very excited to see if that moves any of the Bandle City stuff forward.
Yeah, it's probably going
in
to
any
answer a
sort
lot
of
of questions
conceivable
for
way.
us. So
It would be nice,
hopefully-
honestly.
Is the spaceship still there? That's what I want to know.
Right? Are they still going to Yordle Land? Like, come on.
Is there Yordle University or whatever?
Fuck me.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that was Song of Nunu, yeah?
Yeah.
Wrapping
so,
it
yeah.
up. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. We have a Twitter. Is that we don't post there anymore. I'm sorry. We do have a Twitter.
We do have a Twitter. Yeah, they started making it very hard for me to post the shorts there, so now I post the shorts exclusively on YouTube. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you're on Twitter and not following us on YouTube and you're not getting those shorts anymore. They made it so fucking hard, and it was a huge waste of time. So if you want to see those, check out our YouTube.
Our YouTube. We also
Yeah,
do
check
have
'em
a
out.
YouTube. John has some fun parodies there. We also have full videos of the episodes as well. And we have a Twitch, twitch.tv/loreheads. John streams on Saturdays. He does TFT and A-Rooms with viewers. I'm hoping to stream Bandle City when that comes out in a couple weeks, I think. Yeah. I don't remember the exact date.
I think so, yeah. It's,
When is it?
It is February 22nd.
Oh,
okay.
okay. So end of February. Hopefully I can have all my shit figured out by then.
1 week to the day before Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is kind of a fucking bummer.
You gotta beat it in a week, John.
You can do it.
No fucking. I'm not gonna beat up. I love those type of farming sims.
You do.
I want to play the shit out of it. I'm not gonna start playing it a week
It's
before
fine.
Final
You know what?
Fantasy VII
You're gonna
comes
be able
out.
to beat
Absolutely
Final Fantasy
not.
VII before you would be able to beat Bandle City anyway. So
Probably.
just beat that.
Yeah,
and
I'm
then you'll
taking
play Bandle
time
City
off
after. Yeah,
for
he's
it,
literally
so-
taking vacation from work to beat Final Fantasy.
It's great.
Yeah. What else?
We have a Patreon.
We have a Patreon. We posted, like we said, a bonus content episode about, the gameplay of Song of Nunu, what we thought of the actual game itself. And we recently did a video of trying to draw champions and skins from memory, which went horribly wrong.
We are not great artists.
No.
I think they were pretty good. I think we were able
The
to
night-
guess some of the things that were being drawn.
Every time I open up my folder of documents now, that Nightmare Cho'Gath stares me in the face that I saved. And I'm like, what was I thinking? It looks like a bear. I don't know. Anyway.
It's better than my Bumblebee Cho'Gath.
Oh, pretty good. I liked it.
Sitting here
Oh.
drawing Cho'Gath. I think it has stripes. Maybe. I don't remember. It's getting
Whatever.
stripes.
Thank you so much to all of our patrons.
But a very special thank you to our Medarda tier patrons, Big Man Gnomes, King of Hearts, Mr. Dead, and John Has a Dig Bick. If you were captured by Lysandra and held in a cage, I would also solve a series of lever puzzles to get you out. So,
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh.
and sneak around the Howling Abyss in stealth sections.
Would you throw snowballs at gongs and switches?
The
and
only
things?
way.
Yeah.
Oh, please be sure to join us next week because we're getting back to the champions and we're going to talk about the Gloomist Vex. Gotta talk
Ruination,
about the
baby!
Ruination, baby!
Oh, man.